What is up, guys, and welcome into another episode of the Ain't It Funky podcast. My guest today is Martina Barakoska. Martina is a drummer, drum teacher, and producer based in North Macedonia. Known as @IamThe_M on social media, Martina has been making waves with her incredibly tasteful playing. When she was only 17 years old, Martina won an award for Best Drummer at the Tic Tac Drum Festival, and since then she has played and taught at a whole bunch of drum festivals in different parts of the globe. She is currently the drummer for the North Macedonia-based band Funk Shui. In this episode, we spoke about how Martina has utilized social media to break into the industry, studying with German drum guru Klaus Hessler, how Martina structures her practice time, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe wherever you're listening. The video version is available on YouTube as well. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy. All right, Martina Barakoska, welcome into the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Appreciate you taking the time. So, Martina, tell me what got you started with drums. I know that I heard somewhere else that you started when you were 13, I think.
Yeah, around 13, 14. Yeah. It was, it's quite a late start, if you see it like that. But yeah, I was thinking about starting drums because I loved music so much. I spent a lot of time listening to music and analyzing, and I was just like, I really want to do something with music, and drums were the instrument that was very fascinating to me. And I just did it. I wanted to do it for like a year. I had that idea that I want to start, but I didn't know how. I'm not coming from a musical family, so I mean, they all loved music and they still do, but there was no this tradition of playing instruments since young age and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of figured out that I had to go to take private lessons so I can get in touch with the instrument, and that's how I did it. Yeah, found someone who teached. And I actually was lucky to have like a very good and nice teacher that got me started on the drums. His name is Ivo, and yeah, he introduced me to the world of drums.
Nice. And I think one of your early influences, was it Chad Smith? Is that right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because he was, I don't know, someone that I was really obsessed with. I mean, the first drummer that I got. Just wait a second.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh my god. Let me put this on. No notifications. So yeah, he was the first drummer that I got obsessed with because I was obsessed with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And you know that feeling when you have this drummer or an artist that you get so obsessed with, and you get you watch all the videos and you start internalizing them in a way, and you start to feel like them, or actually not feel like them, but trying to figure out how they feel behind the drums. And that was always my favorite thing to do when I was obsessing over a certain drummer. For example, how does Chad Smith move when he's behind the drums, like just trying to mimic his sound and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely he's the guy I think that I learned how to play ghost notes from, just like learning Californication. Yeah. It was that moment when it clicked, it was like, oh, this is how you play ghost notes with Californication.
Yeah. So was that the album Californication that kind of did it for you?
The song, but yeah, the whole album as well, but the song in particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then sort of at what point in your journey, let's call it, did you kind of start getting more into, or at what point did you realize you wanted to take it to a professional level, and when did you kind of start getting more into, I don't know, like rudiments, technique? When did that happen for you?
Yeah, I was introduced to rudiments and technique from the start. So that's like
Okay.
a very good thing, and a thing that I'm grateful for, because every lesson started with, you know, 15 minutes to 20 or half an hour. I don't remember correctly, but it was always like warm up with a pad, and we did stick control. So
Right.
that's something that I think gave me a very good base for just like playing the rudiments and good technique. And from the same guy, the guy Ivo that I mentioned, when he was teaching, he was also doing his music degree at the local faculty of music here. And that's how I actually figured it out, because I was like a child, and then he told me like he was studying the drums, and I was like, oh, you can actually study drums and like actually do that for and he gave me that idea of like, oh, actually I really want to do that. And parallel to that, like when I was in high school, I I had like this also music teacher that was doing outside activities, like outside of school. We had a studio in the basement, and there was this tradition in the school that we had like the school had bands and was doing like um exhibitions and a lot of concerts and a lot of exhibitions plus concerts and plays and everything. So we did like everything music related. We were there, and we
Mm.
always did activities like that. So ever since I started playing the drums, I was like in bands and making music and stuff like that. And those two things, I think, made me really want music and made me not interested in anything else. Like I really wanted to pursue a career in music. So yeah, I just like before going to study music for in college, I didn't have anything, like I didn't have any musical background. So no music theory, no reading notes, just like, the 8 notes from stick control. That was it.
Mm.
And yeah, I kind of started like I figured out in my last year of high school. I figured out, yeah, I if I want to go to music school, then I have to learn notes and I have to learn music theory. So on my last year of high school, I just did that, just
Right.
gave my all to kind of you know learn everything I can in that short period of time. And yeah, I got in, and then that was it. And now I'm
Okay. And
doing this, which is
is
very
is that
cool.
is that where in the music college, is that where you or music university rather, is that where you also got into production? Because I know you do quite a lot of production stuff as well.
Yeah, I think yeah, it was around that time that I was also learning Ableton, but mainly before that, Ableton was a little bit later. Um, I first started, learning and writing music in Sibelius. How do you pronounce that? The music note app. So
Oh.
it was something that we did in school. We had to learn that app, that program to write music notation. So
Mm.
we also had composition, and you had to write your compositions, like not drum compositions, but just like music compositions. Um, you had to write it out in notes, and also like transcriptions and stuff like that. You had to write it down in the music notation program. um and yeah, that's how I started, with the music notation, and it was kind of the introduction to production. I mean, me producing stuff. And then yeah, just like being in bands, and like also starting to record myself on my last year of music academy when I was studying there. I It was COVID actually, so I started making videos, and that's when I really dug into Ableton and into production. And yeah, like it was very cool. A lot of the stuff that I know from Ableton is not from music school actually. It's from a guy called Dragi Ivanov. And then also like I took some courses um from, just like online courses, because in the COVID era everything was very, there was a course for everything,
Yeah.
and it was quite cheap, I think, as I remember. And yeah, I took that course, and I think it was through trial and error. I just learned some very good basics from the people around me and the course, and then I just tried stuff. And I still do it very in a very simple way. I wouldn't say that I'm like, the biggest Ableton. I don't have that much knowledge, like for very, like deep production stuff, but I know how to make my drums sound good, and how to mix them, and how to compress, and how to EQ. And that's the thing that I need the most. But I do have like a wish to progress in that as well.
Right. And would you say that doing videos, because obviously you've been on the rise on Instagram, you're starting to, make big waves, and through that, I guess you got the drum festivals and different opportunities. Would you say that this social media thing is ultimately what managed to, like push you into the industry? Was that sort of the catalyst for that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think I'm coming from a very small country in the Balkans, and it's kind of very limiting to because it's a small country. It's not so easy to be noticed by the industry, It's just the nature of that. It's nothing that it's like, oh, it's so bad, but it's just like that's the reality. And I think the good thing about social media that I'm always trying to um kind of share with people, and just like make them like social media more in that way, is that there are no borders on Instagram, or on TikTok, because like anyone can see your video, and that's like the best thing ever. And that's what got me to, um, you know, um, that's how the industry noticed me in a way.
Mhm.
I started working with Yamaha, and I started working with Meinl Shore, and Promark Evans, and it's very cool. It's very cool. And I mean, the first company that I started working with was Istanbul Mehmet, and
Yeah.
I have a deep appreciation for the people there. um and it's very cool thing, to have, you know the ability to experience,
Right.
yeah.
And so yeah, tell me a little more about like the thought that goes into your social media clips, because obviously, I mean, you do. I know you obviously I've seen you do the videos where you add drums to, songs that maybe don't necessarily have drums,
Yeah.
or you the other day you posted the 50 ways to leave your lover
Oh
clip
yeah.
of you just grooving to 50 ways, classic Steve Gadd, love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me about sort of more about the sort of thought that goes into your videos, and what's your kind of process like, how you come up with ideas, and and sounds and all that.
Yeah, when I first started making the videos, it was more like I wanted to feel productive in that time of COVID, because there was nothing else to do. And what I would do is like throughout the whole day, I would write some music like on my little synth, and then just like have like 1 minute of a loop, and then I would sit down on my drums and just like play around with it, like make an infinite loop out of that 1 minute, and just like let myself go and just like improvise. And um it was, at first I really wanted to do something very, mine, and not do covers, and just like whatever I post to be, original content. And after that I just like started also introducing music that I really liked. So not necessarily trending music or something that I know would make it, or would go viral, but just like something that I really resonated with at the moment. And it stayed like that for until now, and I still plan to do it like that, because that's how I feel is the most honest content that I would make,
Mm.
And my idea behind it is like I always want to be honest, and I want to, for the one who's watching, I want it to be inspiring, and I want them to feel the love that I have for that particular song or music that I play along to. So most of the time is something interesting that I find with music that doesn't have drums, and I'm like, oh, this is a little bit challenging. I want to see how this song would sound with drums.
Mm.
Or it's some song or a band that I'm obsessed with completely. Like I was with Radiohead the past
Mm.
2 months, and I'm just like spitting out content from Radiohead just because I love playing along to it. And when you love it, then it's very easy to do it. I just I would listen to them anyways, so why not just like put up a camera and play drums
Yeah, as you
together
say,
with it.
it also brings across that authenticity more than, as you say, if you were just randomly doing, I don't know, like Doja Cat or whatever's like popular.
Yeah.
No knock on Doja Cat, by the way, but like,
No, not at all.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that comes across more to your audience and the people that you actually have poured the love in, and it makes you want to do it, right? It makes you want to invest
Yeah.
that time because you're passionate about it. And so, uh, when because you've done like a bunch of drum festivals, tell me a bit more about the drum festivals you've done, and what was like your first drum festival, and how did those opportunities come about for you?
Yeah, my first drum festival was actually in Alteza, in Spain,
Okay.
in a small town. It's still there, called Zamora. It's a very nice, old town. And yeah, I was very scared when I was doing that one, because it was my first one. I just released my like solo loops album.
Mm.
Actually, the loops that I was playing along to in my videos, I just released them for all drummers to have them and play along to them. So I had material that I can prepare and stuff like that. And because it was COVID again, a lot happened in the COVID
Mm.
era. But I know that Yamaha called me, and it was like Sarah Tower from Canada.
Mm.
Sarah.
Yeah.
She couldn't make it because she was in Canada, and there was no way. Like something happened with the COVID, and she couldn't come. It was not
Yeah.
possible. And it was like very last minute. It was like a week before I had to perform, and they were like, would you like to do this? And I was like, I really don't, but I will. In the meaning, not that I really don't, like, I don't want to do it, but I'm really scared, but I will do it, just because it's like I see it as a very good opportunity. And so I really wanted to do it, but I was also scared, as you know, as much as I can be scared. So, and alongside on the lineup, it was like Virgil Donati,
Wow.
and it was like I actually ended up playing before him, so he was playing after me.
Wow.
And yeah, I got to meet him, and it was very cool. I mean, it was the best experience after it passed. I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I did this, because the natural instinct is to like, no, like there's no way that I will do this, you know?
Yeah.
And um yeah, that was my first drum festival, and it was, yeah, a handful. I learned a lot from it. I enjoyed it very much. And I'm figuring out that, drum fests are completely different from concerts with a
Yeah.
band. Like, all eyes are on you, drummers are listening to you. um you're kind of in the spotlight because you're the only one on the stage. And yeah, if you let yourself think about that and analyze it, it's kind of like very, I don't know, awkward for me. And because before that, I haven't gotten up on stage alone, you know,
Mm.
just to play. I don't know, I'm also not a big solo person, you know. I wouldn't play a solo in a song if you asked me to. Like, if it was a yes or no, I would probably be like, no. I would just like want to play
Mm.
and just like play together with people. So it's solos are kind of not as exciting as playing along to music. For me, it was never like that, but I'm also learning to like it, and learning how to approach that as well. Um yeah. And other drum festivals that I played, it was also in my hometown. It's called Skopje Drum Festival. Yeah, that was cool. Then I did a workshop in Salzgitter in
Hmm.
Germany.
Yeah.
um and that was very cool. That's where I met Klaus Hessler,
Nice. Yeah.
with that I'm studying with him, and he's a really amazing guy, and he has so much knowledge, and he's like the guy that I really needed,
Mm.
when he showed up and we met when I needed him the most. I mean, I knew about him, and I was like already in awe with everything he does, but when I was teaching there, I had the chance to watch his workshop, and I was blown away, like, completely. I was like in the first row, and I was just like on mute. I was like, no comment. It just is just like everything I need from a teacher.
Yeah.
And yeah, shortly after, I reached out and I was like, I really want to study with you,
Yeah.
and it was the best decision I made. So I would say that playing drum festivals was, a a chance that put me in like in an uncomfortable position that is always good to grow. So I would say it made me grow a lot, because first you meet a lot of people that, are so, oh, that are so big, that are so big, and that know so much and hold so much knowledge in them. And just the moment that you can talk with them and meet them, um you learn from them,
Right.
and just to watch them in their, in their, how do you say that?
Yeah, I guess they're in their position of expertise and their,
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the input that they have to give, the unique input, because obviously everybody has their own approach.
yeah,
And that's what I love about like going to drum clinics. Um, it's Yeah, it's really interesting to see, especially when it's like multiple people.
yeah,
It's really interesting to see like the different approaches, because everybody, it's like they say, when you could put 100 drummers next to each other, they could all just play a basic 4/4, and it will,
Yeah.
every single one will sound slightly different and have different
Mm.
dynamic, and yeah, and obviously the mental approach as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what kind of approach? I'm really curious. What kind of approach does Klaus have when you're studying with Klaus? Is it very much like rudiments on the pad and technique and stuff, or do you go more into like grooves and things like that? What's his kind of approach?
His approach is like everything you would like to learn. I wouldn't say that he's like, oh, you need this. Uh, I really wanted to have like to work on having richer rhythmic vocabulary and like better solutions for the things that I do. Um, Alongside with that, also zooming in into the technique and my habits and stuff like that. He helped me a lot with the bass drum. I was really I don't think a lot of people talk. There's not so much content about the bass drum. I think a lot of most of us really focus on the hands but don't really focus on the bass drum, so I really wanted to work with someone who can help me with approaching the bass drum technique and playing heel toe, playing ankle down, playing all the approaches that you can have in playing the bass drum. He also introduced me to the double pedal.
Mm.
um so I'm starting to lean into that. Not in I don't have an idea to play metal music because everybody was asking me that. It's just like about the how do you say that, the motorical approach of playing the bass drum, with the left foot, and just like putting it um into the picture more, because
Right.
if I see it as like you can have um you I don't need to play the bass drum, but if I practice it in that way, I can have interesting rhythmical ideas when I'm playing on the hi-hat, you
Right.
know and more abilities with the hi-hat pedal. And yeah, that's how I started doing that. And yeah, I really loved his approach because he can give you one sheet of music, and you can translate it into so many things. And he has so many ideas on how to make that thing work, or how to solve a problem using that sheet of paper and that problem. Or you can have two problems and they can be on the opposite spectrums of of the drumming problematics, and you can still use that sheet of music. And I think that's very genius. And it's like recycling material in the best possible way, and
Wow.
I really like that. Yeah. And his book is also very, very, in my opinion, is genius because it covers so much, and you can also take aways and use it in so many different ways other than those that are, written down to be used for. So it's Daily Drum Set Workout. It's one of the best books I've purchased.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's a shame to hear that we're not going to be hearing any Meshuggah on your channel anytime soon, though, because you say you're not
Yeah,
going to be playing
maybe,
metal.
I don't know.
No, but I wanted to talk to you about, because as I mentioned before we hit the record button, I saw that you played at the Berlin Drum Days. I think, was it last year?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah, it
2022 or
was,
three? No,
yeah,
three.
23. Yeah,
23.
2023.
And yeah, as I mentioned to you, I studied at Drum Trainer, so it holds a
Yeah.
very special place in my heart. Dirk and the guys from Drum
Dirk,
Trainer, big
yeah.
big shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah, so tell me about doing Berlin Drum Days, and how long were you in Berlin for? What did you do in Berlin? Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, I went to Berlin specifically for Berlin Drum Days. Last year and 2022, I spent a lot of time in Berlin. Also, playing with MPNG,
Right.
a bass player. He's a very cool guy. He makes his own music. His name is Sam. And yeah, we did like Yamaha sessions together, and yeah, it was. I spent a lot of time in Berlin, but this time when I was for drum trainer, it was quite quite short. I think it was 3 days. I was really bummed that I missed Benny Greb's
Mm.
workshop because he was also teaching there at that lineup, and I was also blown away by that I'm because Benny Greb is also one of my heroes, and he was a drummer that I was in my timeline of obsessions obsessed with him as well. And I've learned so much from him, through the DVDs and watching him play. And yeah, it was like a moment of, very I was really grateful to be alongside, teaching alongside him on the Berlin Drum Days. Yeah, that was a very cool experience. I mean, I was teaching two, um, like I did two separate workshops. One was on just like creative phrasing and approach to creativity, and just exercises that really helped me to, in my opinion, become the drummer that I am, and like pushed me forward, just for example, learning the full stroke, I think really helped my technique, and it's something that I really use on the drum set, and that, loose approach that I get a lot of questions from, for the technique that I have, or the triple strokes that I do, or just few things that I know were, the points where I was like, aha, that I got my aha moments, and a certain moment that something clicks in your head and you're kind of better than you were yesterday.
Mm.
And yeah, and the second course was for social media. So we just sat down, and I talked about how I approach social media, and how, just how can anyone utilize social media, because you can see it as you have your own profile and you can post whatever, you can curate the content completely by yourself, and that's like the best thing that, you know is existing right now, I think, uh because it's your home, you can make your own rules, and you don't have to do anything, in a way. Like, yeah, there are some rules, but, you know creativity wise, you can really do anything that you can possibly think of. And I approached it in a way of, just encouraging words to the people there, that they can also do social media, and they can do it in their own way, because there is a lot of negativity about it, but also you can see it as something very positive,
Yeah,
that you
it's what
can.
you make it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And in Berlin, what do you remember any of the activities you did in between the clinics, or any of the places you went?
Oh, yeah. There is this very nice bagel place in bagel place, because, drum trainer is in what, Friedrichshain,
Friedrichshain, yeah. Yeah.
and there's this place called
Yes, I know which
Vahat
one.
Nahat, or how do you pronounce it? I don't
Yes, I
know.
know, which
Yeah,
one you mean. To be honest, I can't even remember the name, but yeah, I know exactly actually which one you mean. Yeah, really
I
nice. Yeah.
love it. They have, like, the salmon bagel is
Yeah.
amazing, and they have a couple of others. And the coffee there is amazing. And yeah, I really liked going there and grabbing something. But yeah, that whole neighborhood is very cool, in my opinion. And also beyond that, if you walk a little bit, you have like this food mm, places, like a lot of, pizzas, and then like Asian food, and like whatever you think of, they have it. And yeah, I really like food.
Same.
And and yeah, um what else? I mean, in that area there are also like very cool clubs. So
Yeah.
one time that I was in Berlin, I went to Badehaus,
Okay.
and um they had their um
The
what was
Swag
it
Jam?
called? Swag Jam.
Swag
Yeah,
Jam?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with
Swag
Jan
Jam. I
Jan
was
Sticks
there.
Fennec. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
damn. It was so cool. And I met
Yeah.
some drummers there.
Yeah.
Uh there's this guy that lives in Berlin. His name is, I don't know if I'm butchering his name, Klington Agu, and he's
Huh.
so cool. Like I love his playing style and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's and Sticks on Speed as well. I met him there.
Of
He
course.
was
Yeah.
playing in
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Badehouse that night, and he was amazing. And the rappers there were also like killing. So yeah, I really love whenever I am in Berlin. There are so many events that are happening, and I'm like, I want to go at 3 of them at once. Like, how can I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very giving. Like I always feel very inspired when I'm coming back from Berlin. Like inspired in a way like, oh, there is so much going on in the music scene there, and there are so many good musicians. It's like, oh, let's get
Mm.
to work, It's like it's I always have that feeling with me when I'm coming back, and like in a very positive way. So yeah.
Yeah. No, as I mentioned before,
How did you feel?
I lived in Berlin for 14 years.
14.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So Berlin's like my home.
Mm.
So it's like whenever I go back, it's yeah, it's always like the nostalgia comes up and old memories.
Mm.
And last time, because I was in Berlin in February last time, um,
Mhm.
and I actually went to the Swag Jam for like the first time in many years.
Mhm.
I hadn't gone back to the Swag Jams I think since I lived there, which was like 2018. I moved away. But yeah, and I saw Jan, Jan Sticks Fennec, and yeah, he's such a nice, cool, like down to earth guy, obviously, and yeah, the band, as you know, are always on fire.
Yeah. Amazing.
I went to the Dave Weckl clinic as well last time I was in. He did the
Oh,
Yamaha. It was at 50 years, I
it was
think it was.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
in February. Yeah,
Oh,
and that was like I went home and
mind blowing.
I started practicing New Breed because I was like, this is
New
just
Breed is a killer
yeah,
it's one of my favorites.
so good. Yeah, so good to like unlock creativity and like get all the limbs kind of cook in and yeah. But yeah, it seems because when I went to Dave Weckl, I mean, I go figure that every drummer in Berlin would be there, but it kind of showed me like it feels like the drummer scene in Berlin. Obviously, in general, there are a lot of musicians, but especially like the drummer scene, it seems like there's so many drummers that flock to Berlin and that are there's like a hub
Yeah, yeah.
people, and especially
Mm.
with with Dirk bringing everyone there to drum trainer and for clinics and for workshops and stuff.
I also have this guy that I really like how he plays. He lives in Berlin now.
Yeah.
Jules Drums. He's on Instagram.
I don't
Julian
know.
Vida is his name.
No.
He's amazing. Yeah, yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, to confirm what you said, like there are so many drummers in Berlin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's as you say, it is inspiring. You see the amount of talent there.
And they're all so good. Like they're all amazing.
Yeah, and so many good German drummers in general. Obviously, we hear about
Yeah.
Annika, Benny, Noah Furbringer is another one.
Jost.
Jost, of
Noah, yeah.
course. Yeah. I mean, they're, it's like obviously that German precision
Christine
comes
Niddens
out.
as
Yes,
well.
Christina Neddens. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah, no, so many
Klaus.
good German drum. Yeah.
Oh, also Philo Chungi, the
Oh, I don't
drummer
know the name.
for Mars Volta right
Ah,
now.
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, Berlin's a great place.
Yeah.
As I say, it holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, let's move on to I always kind of have a segment in the podcast where I talk to drummers about how they practice because I find it fascinating. I think that's like the Mac function where you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down and it gives that emoji. But
I
um,
actually also know how to make fireworks. Wait.
do you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it happening?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. um, but yeah, so I love to talk to drummers about their approach to practice. And tell me what your approach is to practicing. Are you more of the kind of, I mean, I presume because of what you've said before, I assume you're more someone who kind of practices creativity within music rather than like, practicing on a pad with a click and keeping a logbook or whatever. But tell me about, how you approach practice.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I am with that approach when playing, but yeah, my practice is quite structured.
Okay.
Um, I do have like a practice log. I have like a practice like notepad. Um, and one thing that I learned, my practice routines have changed like throughout the years. But I always, my goal is to practice every day. Like no days off. It's like if I can, I will just play half an hour. It's if my day is so busy or if I just I'm tired. But yeah, I the things that have changed are that I'm like more accepting now when I'm feeling like tired or like my head is like in a place where I have to, take a little bit of a break, for a day, that it's okay, that I'm not gonna forget about how to play drums if I take a day off. And but yeah, in music school it was always like I was doing the things that I was supposed to do. So we practiced Charlie Wilcoxon, so etudes. I was practicing a lot to the new breed,
Mm.
so also Jim Chapin, syncopation. um and the concepts of those books I see like very similar. So Jim Chapin, syncopation, and the new breed, they're all like with a different like vibe, but the idea is the same. And I really like that kind of books. So I really love to have like a reading text and then make problems with it. So like do ostinatos or do like different types of 16 notes, so 8 notes or 16 notes in different places with the right hand, or feeling adventurous, you can do it with the left hand, like open-handed. So yeah, I was doing that in music school most of the time and learning tunes. So I don't know, like playing with backing tracks like to Tommy Igo, Groove
Mm.
Essentials, stuff like that. um and yeah, so I always the best, because I am, if I let myself go without a structure, I won't know what to do. Some people can do it and can function better without, being so you know in the box. But for me, I found that I'm most productive when I know actually what I'm doing in the practice room. um so I was in a period of time where when met Klaus, where I was like, I really have to find, a better routine, a better, way to go about my things. And that's when Klaus introduced like the 30-minute rule to me. Whatever I'm doing, um I will do it for 30 minutes, so. And my goal for every day is to practice for 3 hours, so that's like six half an hours.
Okay.
So you can do it like half an hour and half an hour on one subject, and then you can have another 2 half hours of something else, and another half 2 hours of something else, or you can also work on six different things, um and then whatever exercise that I'm doing, if it's like, something that it's moving accents, for example, and you have like a lot of possibilities, right? Like, let's say you have, I don't know, 16 different exercises. You will, or 15, you will do each of them for 1 minute, and then the other 15 minutes you will do it at either a faster tempo, or either the other way around, with the hands or with the feet, you know
Okay.
so that's my approach right now. So I always do half an hour or of what I'm working on, and then take a break, 5 minutes, something, and then work on something else, or just continue the work that I was doing for another half an hour, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't have to be that it's um 3 hours continuously. So you can have like half an hour in the morning, and then the other, you know 2.5 hours after, or half hour and a half, and then hour and a half, just like whatever works for the schedule, and for
Okay.
also whatever works for your like for your mind, because sometimes it's like hard to sit down when you know that you have to sit down for 3 hours and
Mm.
just like work. And I think it's like psychologically it's easier to sit down and say to yourself, okay, this is gonna only last for half an hour, and then I will take a break, and then this is gonna last for half an hour. It's like psychologically easier to grasp than to grasp 3 hours of just working on the drums. Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so you said you actually keep a practice log. So then, how long are you kind of working on one particular subject, and are you kind of speeding up the BPM or even
Yeah.
slowing it down drastically
Mhm.
from day to day? Is it kind of like let's say in the gym with progressive overload, going heavier every time? Is that kind of, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think I would work on something for, it depends on what I'm working, but um uh, it's I would work on something a week or two, and then I will leave it a little bit, because it also has to, you know, process a little bit in the brain. It doesn't come out right away.
Mm.
So I will do something else, and then I will get back to it. So it's I just try to feel like, okay, this is getting a little bit also boring and monotonous. So I want to change, and I want to dig into something else. And then when I feel like I can approach it again with a fresh mindset, then I will come back to it and work on it some more. And then I think you also see more clearly, like, oh, this is a problem, and or I actually got this, and I can, just push it now.
Right.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so but that journal thing about practicing is something that I heard from Benny a
right.
long time ago. He was talking about it in one of his courses, in one of his DVDs. And yeah, whenever I, since the moment I heard him say that, I was like, okay, we're doing this, and I committed. Um, there was a period of time where I ditched it, that I was not doing it, and that's where the chaos appeared.
Mm,
Um, that's where I think I lost my you know, routines and stuff like that, and it was hard to get back, because I was trying to you know, find out if that worked maybe better for me, not having to, be so structured and be so, like, focused on one. Just like, if I have to work on something, a book or anything, just like to let myself go.
mm,
But I think with the problem for me, sometimes like those things work for other people. For me, it was like you always think that you're doing a lot, but you're not actually.
true. Yeah.
I think you're exaggerating in your mind that you're working. Like, yeah, I played for 8 hours. Yeah, you were 8 hours in the drum room, but were you playing like for 8 hours? Not at all.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
played like for maybe, I don't know, three maybe, or something. The other were you were, around your drums,
Yeah.
and that's not helping.
Yeah. Do you ever find when you're practicing, are you very good at like honing in and just straight focusing 100% of the time, or do you sometimes find that you go off a noodle for like 15 seconds or whatever? Do you know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah,
Like
do
that
noodle.
phenomenon
Yeah.
where like, and then like because I used to keep a practice log. Obviously now I'm playing a lot, so I don't get too much time. I mean, I do a bit of pad in the hotel room and stuff like that, um, but like when I was really, on my practice schedule, I would also keep a logbook or a spreadsheet on my laptop or whatever and keep track. But I found that like I would write little notes to myself and then I'd put it in like highlighted in red and it would be like stop noodling like in capital letters with like 10 exclamation marks like stop noodling you idiot. It's just like being like really hard on myself, but like
Yeah.
because I'd be practicing and I'd be like hone in on something, but then I went to a Thomas Lang boot camp many years ago and he said
Hmm.
it's basically we're like stroking our ego.
Yeah.
It's like when if you're practicing something that you can't do, obviously your natural instinct is to be like, wow, I suck. And
And
then
then do
it's,
something that you don't
yeah. And
suck
then you
at.
start like ripping your 6-stroke rolls or whatever. And then you're like, nope, nope, I got to get back into
Yeah,
my zone. And
killing it.
yeah, exactly. And you think, oh yeah, I'm great, but,
Yeah,
that's obviously not what practice is about. You need to, hone in on stuff you can't do.
suck. Yeah, yeah. There is this thing that I was always writing at the beginning of my journals. Now I started using my iPad, but I also, I think I wrote it in my iPad as well. But I always tend to write this thing that Jojo Mayer said. If you are practice if when you practice, if you sound good, you're not actually practicing.
Yeah.
And that's like the best thing I've heard. Like, it was that light bulb moment. Like, yeah, you actually have to accept that you have to sound bad to sound good. You
Yeah.
have to actually work on the stuff that you're not good at. You should also work on the stuff that you're good at, but yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is the problem, I would say, that I've always um tried to be better at, is to um turn off that practicing mode, that criticism mode. Oh
Yeah.
my god, those
There goes the
animations.
thumbs up again.
The camera agrees.
Yeah.
um that criticism, I am very self-critical and hard on myself. And it's that moment when you start actually playing, or playing with people, not to think about what you were practicing and how good you are, and how good you're playing or how bad you're playing, just to actually play and be in the moment, and communicate with the people you're playing with. I think
Yeah,
that's a fine line that we go um
for sure. Yeah. I,
around. Yeah.
do you ever get into like a headspace um where I don't know, maybe you're like really inspired by a particular drummer that's, you know,
Hmm.
very technical or whatever, and then you try to, when you're like playing, you you're trying sort of too much to emulate what they're doing, but
Yeah.
because you're not them, you find you're not
Hmm.
quite pulling it off right, and you're like why can't I, you know, like, because I've recently I've been like Two from Sleep Token has been like
Hmm.
is blows my mind with like, it seems like no matter what his hands are doing or his feet, he's always coming out like on the one. And sometimes there's like slight moments where you think like that maybe wasn't quite like 100% on the grid, but it's actually
Hmm.
so like slick and so creative and tasteful that like
Hmm.
I find that, I mean, I'm playing, you know, in an Elton John tribute, so I'm not gonna do two chops in Rocket Man or whatever. But
Mm.
um, in the sound check, I try to like, I don't know, play like paradiddle chops, or like, you know, he goes on the bell a lot. He does a lot of stuff on the bell when he just before he comes out of the fill.
Mm.
Um, do you ever get into like a headspace like that where it's like you're so inspired by a certain drummer in a moment that like
Yeah.
you know you're trying to emulate them?
Yeah, definitely. I have that still with Chad Smith, I think. And I think he's the drummer that I have him the most inside of my, way of playing.
Yeah.
Maybe not the things that I play, but the feel, I would say, and the approach. Um and I think another drummer that I'm really influenced by is Stella Mozgava from Warpaint.
Okay. Yeah.
She's like amazing, and I was really listening and learning songs from her, and I think if you hear her, maybe you will figure out something about me. I think she is a lot, and no, just like she has influenced my playing a lot, I think, with the ideas. And she's not playing very in a very standard way. She's like doing this pop thing, but in a very dreamy and jazzy thing, and that's like my, I don't know, it's like the best thing ever,
Hmm.
in my opinion. And yeah, I do definitely. And whenever I think I'm obsessed with a certain type of music, there was this time that I was, I don't know, it was late last year, when I was really into Mars Volta,
Mm.
and then I was really trying to learn some songs from John Theodore.
Mm.
And yeah, and then I was playing with my band, and I was doing some fills that I was like, oh, this was like very John Theodore type of like like some he's doing those things a lot. And
Yeah.
I started doing that, and I was like, oh, okay, that's John. And yeah, so I definitely do.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever listened to the One Day as a Lion album with Zach De La Roca? You know, the thing he did with Zach.
Yeah, I've heard. There was some video sessions from that, right?
I'm not actually sure.
Then
I
maybe
only
it's not the same thing.
know the album, but yeah, his drums are like so present and so, you know,
I think it's the
it's
same thing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it's like, and his 16th grooves are just so powerful, and so, and obviously I love what he does with Queens of the Stone Age.
yeah.
Um,
He's very like, he has the John Bonham thing inside of him,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
love that.
very heavy hitter, such a like
Yeah.
powerhouse. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we're coming to the end of this episode now, Martina. Is there anything that you want to plug or shout out?
Shout out. Yeah, I would love to shout out my sponsors. I mean, I'm very grateful their support, Yamaha drums, vinyl cymbals, ProMark drumsticks, Evans drum heads, and Shure mics. It's an honor to play those instruments because I would have played them anyway, like if I was not sponsored, they would be my go-to choice. And yeah, it's amazing how much they've supported me throughout those like 3 years that I'm working with them. There's a very, like um few things that no, there are not. There are a lot of things that I'm grateful for, and I don't want to miss out on any of them. But I'm just like grateful for my family, that for the continuous support. My friends, yeah, my band Feng Shui. At the moment, also shout out to MPNG from Berlin. Yeah, and all the people that helped me to get to where I am now, because I don't think that anything that we do as people, as individuals, is just solely from us, alone. I don't think you can do like very big things alone. And yeah, I'm always grateful to have had a lot of nice people and supporting people alongside. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Martina. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Give me money.